When I spoke at the 4As a few months ago, I talked about this analogy of a forest fire. Now, a forest fire can be very scary because it burns through the brush. It pushes you to the edge. The flames are around you. They lick at your heels. But the way to think about a forest fire, like any transformation, is what happens on the other side. The transformation that we're seeing is a landscape that won't be made up of banner ads and blue links, but rather rich, immersive, and engaging content. It's also a landscape made up of ones and zeros and bits and bytes. And the beauty of that is it allows advertising to connect to the business and the value systems that happen within your company. So whether it's the point of sale at the local Safeway and linking that all the way up to the advertisement, or it's buying a new car, like we'll demonstrate, and linking that perception experience down to point of purchase. That's the beauty of digital. And finally, that forest fire is creating a landscape that reflects a new medium. It's a medium that has expanded options, new interaction points, infinite perspective, and yes, even beauty. As you've seen in a lot of devices that have been released recently, the beauty of the internet and the beauty of digital is really coming to fore. So what I want to shift to now is one of the key trends that's going on in digital, and we call that multi-screen advertising. Multi-screen is a reflection of the fact that there are so many different devices in consumers' lifestyles, each of which present marketing opportunities. We did a study of 1,200 consumers this past spring around the topic of multi-screen advertising. 69% of them actually embraced the concept of multi-screen advertising and really believed that it would give them better recall of ads and would make content just more useful for them. Another really interesting fact from this study is that if you take TV advertising and combine it with online video advertising, it improves consumer recall by over 53%. Right? If you look back 9 months ago online with video, you couldn't sell the inventory associated with video. If you look today, we are sold out across all of our video offerings almost everywhere in the world because of this simple fact that video works great when it's seen on both the TV and online. And finally, and this is almost just shocking, media consumption continues to increase. Despite the dramatic amount of media we already consume, media consumption is up in the United States to 197 hours per month. I mean, how is that possible? Partly it's because people are time shifting their media consumption, using things like TiVo and other products. They're place shifting their media consumption because they're taking on the go. And also, there's a lot of simultaneous consumption. This is a huge trend where people are watching TV with their phone and their PC all at once, which is giving multiples on the way that people consume media. And it's a super important trend for marketers in the audience to know that particularly young people rarely watch television without another screen readily available around them. So with this, we've also shown that across this multiple screen, there's a great opportunity for marketers to tell a relevant and connected story. We also are going to prove and show to you through an example of how those connected stories then add value to the marketer by increasing the impact of the message.
From a digital perspective, one thing we knew is that we needed to go big or go home. I think Microsoft has an interesting proposition to the consumer because there's so many ways that they touch the consumer. There's obviously the portal site, which internationally is very important. But then they also have the Xbox platform and Xbox Live, and they have ways for us to reach that consumer that may not necessarily be watching television. And lastly, there's of course the Windows Media mobile platform, which is something that we experimented with in 5 countries for this release.
Most people get their first information about a movie online, whether that's watching a trailer, whether that's reading some news about it. And I think we as an industry have to embrace the online experience and roll it into all of our different marketing opportunities. No longer really is it about what the critics write. It's what do people Twitter? What do people say in their blogs? And if you don't embrace them, they're not going to embrace your film.
One of the things that this film has done for us is now we can go to Microsoft and say, hey, have you thought about this? So it really is now a working partnership.
Think out of the box. Be original. And I think if advertisers and marketers think this way, that they will be successful in whatever campaigns they run.
So Avatar is a really inspiring example of a movie that was digital in making and completely digital in marketing. We also did some research after the launch of the Avatar movie, looking at this concept of multi-screen consumers and what kind of impact multi-screen marketing had on them. These results were absolutely incredible. I think a lot of us who've been involved in traditional marketing for many years know that if you run a TV ad and support it with billboards or radio or newspaper, you can get multiples on your investment. Well, the same thing happens in the digital space. The research showed that multi-screen consumers were 3 times as likely to go see Avatar versus those that had only seen the advertising on one screen. And nearly half of all consumers who saw all 3 ads went to see Avatar in the theater, helping to make it a truly global success. So clearly, multi-screen advertising drives powerful value to brands and marketers.